Have you ever wondered why some men seem to effortlessly command respect, attention, and fascination, while others, even when they try their hardest, are barely noticed? Why is it that certain individuals walk into a room and instantly change the atmosphere without saying a word? At first glance, it might seem like charm, looks, or wealth. Many people assume that attraction is built on compliments, gifts, or constant attention. Society teaches men to believe that if they give enough, try hard enough, or sacrifice enough, they will eventually earn admiration. But reality often tells a different story. You may have seen it yourself. A man who bends over backward to please everyone is often taken for granted. Meanwhile, someone quieter, more composed, even distant, seems to attract curiosity and intrigue without effort. It feels confusing. Why does trying harder sometimes push people away, while calm confidence seems to pull them closer? For centuries, thinkers, philosophers, and observers of human nature have tried to understand this mystery. Among them was Niccolò Machiavelli, a man who studied power, influence, and the hidden forces that shape human behavior. And what he discovered about desire was surprisingly simple, yet deeply uncomfortable for most people to accept. Today, we're going to uncover a powerful truth hidden beneath human psychology, the one thing women truly desire. Not what society says they want, but what their instincts quietly search for. And here's the surprising part. It's not money. It's not endless compliments. And it's not constant approval. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand this principle, you will begin to see human relationships in a completely different light. What once seemed confusing will suddenly make perfect sense. Long before modern dating advice or social media theories, ancient Stoic philosophers were already speaking about the deeper forces that guide human behavior. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that true strength lies not in controlling others, but in mastering oneself. Epictetus taught his students something equally powerful. The person who seeks validation from others becomes their servant, but the one who stands firmly within their own character becomes impossible to control. And Seneca warned that people are naturally drawn toward those who appear internally complete, those who do not desperately chase approval or attention. Think about that for a moment. If someone seems emotionally dependent on others for their worth, people unconsciously feel that pressure. It creates imbalance. But when someone carries themselves with quiet certainty, when they are grounded in their values and unmoved by external approval, something interesting happens. People become curious. They begin to wonder what gives that person such stability. This brings us to the first insight. Insight 1. True desire begins with respect. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern relationships is the belief that attraction is built primarily on affection. In reality, affection without respect rarely lasts. Machiavelli observed something about human nature that still holds true today. People may enjoy kindness, but they are deeply influenced by strength. Not strength in the sense of aggression or dominance, but strength of character. A person who knows who they are. A person who does not abandon their values just to gain approval. A person who remains calm even when others try to provoke or manipulate them. That kind of presence creates something powerful, respect. And respect is the soil where real attraction grows. Imagine two individuals. The first constantly seeks validation. They apologize for everything, change their opinions to match others, and sacrifice their boundaries just to keep everyone happy. The second person is calm, thoughtful, and self-assured. They listen, they speak carefully, and they do not feel the need to prove themselves to anyone. Which one feels more stable? Which one feels more intriguing? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, character speaks louder than persuasion. People are naturally drawn toward those who possess inner order, those who have built a life that does not revolve around external approval. This is why trying too hard often backfires. When someone constantly chases attention, it signals insecurity. But when someone focuses on growth, purpose, and self-mastery, their presence begins to speak for itself. Respect forms quietly, and once respect exists, attraction follows naturally. The paradox is simple. The less someone tries to force admiration, the more naturally it appears. But this raises an important question. If respect is the foundation of desire, why do so many people sacrifice it just to gain temporary attention? Why do they ignore their boundaries, silence their opinions, and reshape their identity just to fit into someone else's expectations? The answer reveals something even deeper about human psychology, something that Machiavelli himself understood very well. And it leads us to the second insight, where the real power of emotional independence begins to unfold. The second insight begins with a difficult truth, one that many people feel but rarely put into words. Human beings are naturally drawn toward those who appear complete within themselves. Not perfect, not flawless, but whole. Machiavelli spent much of his life observing how people respond to power, influence, and confidence. What he discovered was that people instinctively gravitate toward those who do not desperately seek their approval. This is where many misunderstand relationships. They believe the path to attraction is constant availability, always replying instantly, always agreeing, always showing endless attention. But paradoxically, the more someone tries to secure affection through constant reassurance, the less intriguing they become. Why? Because when someone appears too eager to please, it subtly communicates something deeper, fear of losing approval. And people, often without realizing it, sense that imbalance. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology gave it a name. Epictetus once said something that reveals the heart of this idea. Whoever seeks to please everyone ultimately loses control over themselves. In other words, the moment your identity depends on someone else's validation, your inner stability begins to weaken. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine someone who enjoys connection, but whose happiness does not depend on it. Someone who values relationships, but whose identity remains grounded in their own principles. This kind of person creates a completely different emotional atmosphere. They are not chasing attention. They are not competing for approval. They are simply living with quiet certainty about who they are. And strangely enough, that quiet certainty becomes magnetic, because emotional independence signals something powerful: inner security. People instinctively trust those who appear secure within themselves. Not because security is loud or dominant, but because it feels stable. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. As the emperor of Rome, he was surrounded by people who constantly tried to gain his favor. Yet in his private writings, he reminded himself that the greatest power a person can possess is mastery over their own mind. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This principle applies far beyond philosophy. When someone is emotionally grounded, they do not panic when others pull away. They do not collapse when they face disagreement. And they do not reshape themselves simply to maintain attention. Instead, they remain steady. And that steadiness becomes something people respect and often admire. Now consider the opposite dynamic. When someone constantly seeks reassurance, messages repeatedly, worries about every small shift in attention, or sacrifices their own values just to maintain connection, the relationship slowly begins to feel heavy. Not because affection is wrong, but because pressure replaces balance. Human attraction thrives on freedom. The moment connection begins to feel like emotional obligation, curiosity fades. Seneca once warned about this tendency when he wrote, "He who depends on others for his peace becomes their prisoner." This does not mean people should become cold or distant. Stoicism never teaches emotional detachment in the sense of indifference. Instead, it teaches self-possession, the ability to care deeply without losing control of oneself. When someone embodies this mindset, something remarkable happens. They no longer chase attention. And ironically, that is often the moment attention begins to find them, because confidence that does not beg for recognition becomes incredibly rare. In a world where so many people measure their worth through likes, messages, and constant reassurance, a person who stands calmly within themselves becomes deeply intriguing. They appear grounded, independent, unshaken by the small fluctuations that disturb others. And that sense of inner stability creates a subtle but powerful attraction. But emotional independence alone does not explain everything. There is another force at play, one that Machiavelli understood perhaps better than most. It has less to do with confidence and more to do with mystery. Because when someone reveals everything about themselves too quickly, curiosity disappears. And without curiosity, desire slowly fades. This leads us to the third insight. a principle that explains why those who reveal themselves slowly often leave the deepest impression. The third insight reveals something subtle, yet incredibly powerful about human nature. Desire is deeply connected to mystery. When everything about a person is immediately visible, predictable, and fully understood, curiosity slowly fades. The mind no longer feels the urge to explore, to question, or to discover. But when someone reveals themselves gradually, when their thoughts, emotions, and intentions unfold over time, something fascinating happens. Interest grows. Machiavelli observed this dynamic not only in politics, but in human relationships. He understood that people are naturally drawn toward what they cannot immediately possess or fully understand. It's not manipulation, it's psychology. The human mind values what requires effort to uncover. Think about a book that reveals its entire story on the first page. There would be no reason to continue reading. But a story that unfolds slowly, page by page, chapter by chapter, pulls the reader deeper with every new discovery. People are no different. When someone rushes to reveal everything about themselves, their emotions, their insecurities, their entire life story, the connection can feel intense at first, but it often burns out quickly. Why? Because curiosity has no room to grow. The Stoics had their own way of expressing this idea. Marcus Aurelius believed that true wisdom often speaks quietly. He warned against the urge to constantly explain or prove oneself. He once wrote that a person should focus on being virtuous rather than appearing virtuous. In other words, character does not need constant advertisement. It reveals itself naturally through actions. Someone who feels the need to constantly demonstrate their worth often unknowingly weakens their presence. But someone who moves through the world calmly, allowing others to observe their character over time, creates a different impression. They become intriguing. Their thoughts are not immediately obvious. Their reactions are measured. Their attention is not given freely to everyone. This restraint creates space. And within that space, curiosity grows. Imagine two individuals again. The first tells you everything about themselves within the first hour. Their dreams, fears, opinions, past relationships, and future plans are all laid out immediately. The second person is warm, thoughtful, and engaging, but also reserved. They share pieces of themselves slowly, naturally, allowing the connection to unfold over time. Which interaction leaves you more curious? Which one makes you want to know more? Human psychology often values what feels earned rather than given instantly. Seneca once hinted at this truth when he wrote that things obtained too easily are rarely valued deeply. This does not mean someone should hide their personality or play games. The Stoics never encouraged deception. Instead, they valued intentional presence, the ability to move through life without constantly seeking attention or validation. When someone lives this way, their presence naturally becomes more compelling. They do not rush to impress. They do not reveal every thought in an effort to be understood. And they do not feel pressured to prove their value. They simply exist in quiet confidence. And ironically, that calm restraint often speaks louder than endless words. But mystery alone is not enough. There is a final principle that ties everything together. A principle that explains why the most attractive individuals are often those who appear deeply committed to something beyond relationships themselves. A purpose, a mission, a direction in life that does not revolve around chasing approval. Machiavelli understood that people respect those who are guided by something larger than momentary desire. Because when someone is anchored to a meaningful path, they stop orbiting around others and instead begin walking their own road. And strangely enough, that is when others start noticing them the most. This final insight reveals why the most powerful form of attraction is not built through effort, but through alignment with purpose. And once you understand this last piece, the entire picture becomes clear. The final insight may be the most important of all, because everything we have discussed, respect, emotional independence, and mystery, ultimately leads to one deeper truth. The most powerful form of attraction comes from purpose, not from chasing attention, not from trying to impress others, but from building a life that is meaningful enough that you do not need constant validation. Machiavelli observed something fascinating about human nature. People instinctively admire those who appear focused on something greater than themselves. A person who is guided by a clear direction in life radiates a kind of quiet authority. Their energy is not scattered across endless attempts to please others. Instead, it is invested in growth, discipline, and purpose. And this creates something extremely rare in the modern world: clarity. In a time where many people drift through life searching for approval, someone who knows where they are going immediately stands apart. Marcus Aurelius lived with this understanding every day. Despite being the most powerful man in Rome, he constantly reminded himself that his purpose was not to chase admiration or comfort. His duty was to become a better human being. He wrote in his journal, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." These words reveal the essence of Stoic philosophy. Real strength is not about appearing powerful. It is about building a character so stable that the opinions of others cannot easily shake it. When someone lives this way, something remarkable happens. Their presence becomes calm, grounded, and quietly confident. They are not trying to be impressive. They are simply committed to becoming better. And that commitment naturally draws respect. Think about the people in history who left the deepest impressions. They were rarely the loudest. They were rarely the ones desperately seeking attention. More often, they were individuals who walked their own path with patience and discipline. Seneca believed that the most fulfilling life is built not on external admiration, but on internal alignment, when a person's actions match their principles. When someone reaches that state, relationships no longer become a desperate search for completion. Instead, they become a natural extension of a fulfilled life. And that changes everything. Because when a person is internally whole, they no longer chase connections out of loneliness. They welcome them out of choice. The difference may seem small, but psychologically it is enormous. One mindset says, "I need someone to make me feel complete." The other says, "My life already has meaning." The right person can share it. People can feel that difference. It is subtle, but powerful. This is why the most respected individuals often appear calm, even in solitude. They understand something many people spend years trying to learn. Peace does not come from being constantly surrounded by others. It comes from building a life that you respect. And when someone reaches that point, relationships become something beautiful rather than something desperate. They become companionship between two individuals who are already walking their own meaningful paths. So what is the one thing women truly desire? At its core, it is not charm, wealth, or endless compliments. Those things may capture attention for a moment. But what truly commands lasting admiration is strength of character. A man who respects himself. A man who does not abandon his values for temporary approval. A man who is calm, purposeful, and emotionally grounded. Because such a person offers something rare, stability in a chaotic world. And stability is deeply attractive. So if you take anything from this message, remember this: do not spend your life chasing admiration. Spend your life building character. Strengthen your mind. Discipline your habits. Pursue meaningful goals. When you do that, something interesting happens. You stop trying to prove your value, and people begin to see it naturally. If this message gave you a new perspective, take a moment to subscribe to Quiet Stoic. This channel is dedicated to exploring the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy and helping you develop inner strength, clarity, and self-mastery in a noisy world. And if this video made you reflect in a new way, leave a like so this message can reach others who may need to hear it. Before you go, write this in the comments: strength begins within. It's a reminder not only to me that you stayed until the end, but also to yourself that real power is built quietly through discipline, patience, and character. And while you're here, choose one of the videos appearing on the screen, because sometimes a single idea, discovered at the right moment, can completely change the direction of your life. Until next time, stay thoughtful and stay stoic.